Welcome back to this week's Cabal Wannabe show. Some of the things we're going to be looking at include Innistrad, some of the more interesting cards previewed. A look at the two new Planeswalkers, including Garruk, who transforms, and Liliana of the Veil, who only costs 3 mana. And then we're also going to look at this strange new world flavor-wise. We're going to be talking about Mark Rosewater and why is he always taunting us with the facts. And spoilers, why do we have so few this time around? So the newest thing to come out of Innistrad is double face cards. These are not the flip cards from Kamigawa Block. These are in fact 2 cards printed on 1. So instead of having a normal magic backing, it has the transformed side. So Civilized Scholar is a 2 and a blue for a 0/1, taps to draw a card, then discard a card. If a creature card is discarded this way, untap Civilized Scholar and transform it. Transforms into Homicidal Brute, who has at the beginning of your end step, if Homicidal Brute didn't attack this turn, tap Homicidal Brute, then transform it. He's a 5/1 uncommon card. Very interesting direction that Wizards has decided to go with changing the magic backing. I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to say that I think the idea is cool. Definitely thinking outside of the box. I'm glad they did some research on it before they did it, because I honestly think it's going to flop out. But I'm honestly hoping that it's better than what everyone's making it sound like, which is just terrible. I do have some high hopes for it, and I do believe that Wizards is smarter than people give them credit for. So at the end of one of Mr. Mark Rosewater's articles, he gave us the hints before the start of the Innistrad previews, and some of the hints he gave about things they're going to be showing us in the future is a card based on a silver bordered white card. Not surprising, he usually lulls the grab from Unglued and Unhinged just to see what's in there that we can actually try in modern day standard. So I fully expect to see tons of goofy stuff from those sets coming out every once in a while, because what's goofy then isn't goofy later. A token making sorcery, which makes more tokens than any previous token making spell, not counting X spells or spells that make a variable number. Not so excited about that. Cool, but not so excited about that. An enchantment that could let you play all your creatures for free, which I will be previewing. A spell that can deal 13 damage to multiple creatures for 1 mana. And yes, I mean 13 damage multiple times. I'm really eager to see how that one turns out. Many, and I'm talking more than a few, cards inspired by famous horror stories, which we've already seen one so far, which I just showed you guys if you're paying attention. A card that turns a loss into a win, eager to see that one as well. A 2-mana creature that lets you make a 2/2 creature every turn for 2 mana. We've already seen it, it's a common, that's not that great. A card that lets you exchange your life total with something you've never been able to exchange it with before. I haven't done research on that, but that definitely sounds interesting. And a Planeswalker with 5 loyalty abilities. We'll be previewing that towards the end of the video if you just want to skip to the end where I'm previewing Liliana of the Veil and Garruk the Relentless. Both very interesting cards. But Mark Rosewater once again giving us the facts, and they are usually misguided facts. The 2/2 that makes 2/2 creatures for 2 mana involves sacrificing a creature immediately afterwards. Not as good as we thought. But he didn't lie, he was just slightly misleading. Mark Rosewater, again, wonderful designer and master of all things confusing. So we have a new enchantment coming out. We have curses coming out, which enchant players. We're looking at Curse of the Bloody Tomb, 2 and a blue, enchantment or a curse. It's a common. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, that player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. I don't see this card being potentially tournament playable, but it's definitely going to be fun for us casual players that love to stick big fatty creatures or flashback cards in the graveyard, or any kind of library manipulation that involves Emrakul. And we also have here Ludwig's Test Subject. It's a 0/3 for 1 and a blue. Defender, 1 and blue, put a hatching counter on it. If it has 5 or more hatching counters on it, transform it. It transforms into a 13/13 trampling blue creature. It's supposed to be reminiscent of a lizard, I believe. Can't tell too much from the artwork. It's a lizard horror. It is rare. It's not terrible. I'm just not excited about it because you do have to activate it or get 5 hatchling counters on it somehow. Sure, we have proliferate, but is it going to be good is the question, and I'm going to say no. These types of effects usually aren't. But we are talking blue. We are talking about the control color and the master of slowing the game down for getting fatties into play like Darksteel Colossus. So maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Let's put it that way. So let's work our way from left to right. Creepy Doll, 5 mana, 1/1 construct. Creepy Doll is indestructible. Whenever Creepy Doll deals damage or combat damage to a creature, flip a coin. If you win the flip, destroy that creature. So we're talking about a little death-touching doll here that involves coin flips. We usually don't see coin flips at all. So, I mean, at the very least, it's a construct that just gets in your opponent's way and every once in a while kills something. Not real excited about it, but I'll definitely be picking him up for the Stuffy Doll, Creepy Doll deck. Totally looking forward to more dolls in the future. Didn't think I'd be saying that anytime in the next 10 years. Elite Inquisitor is a double white for a 2/2 human soldier. First strike, vigilance, rare. Protection from vampires, from werewolves, and from zombies. The set's big 3. Definitely worth picking up for standard. Or not definite, but definitely worth looking at picking up for standard, and definitely for block. I'm very eager to see how white's going to play out for block. And Rooftop Storm, 5 mana blue for an enchantment. You may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for zombie creature spells you cast. Very interesting. It has the whole Frankenstein, it's alive type thing going on. So once you get the bolt of lightning going into all the undead, it's like, oh look, they all come back to life and they attack you for oodles amounts of damage. Not sure how the zombie theme's playing out in Innistrad so far, since we don't have too many good zombies previewed. But during the block season, I'm sure it'll be somewhat fun as a combo piece. Casual, they're all over. It's good. Very interesting. I would prefer a more horrific name for it. Maybe Lightning Bolt for the Undead. I'm terrible with names. Let's just go to the next cards. There is a huge zombie theme going on in this set. Endless Ranks of the Dead is cool. The more zombies, the better. 2 black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is half the number of zombies you control rounded down. So if you have 2 in play and you cast it, let's go 4 in play when you cast it, then you get 2, now you have 6, and then you get 3, which brings you up to 9. So it gets ridiculous pretty fast. And they're all 2/2s. And that's only if you have 1 of the Endless Ranks of the Dead in play. So if you get 2 of these into play, you are going to be swarming all over your opponent. I love the feel of the card. I love the artwork for it. It definitely has that the end is near type feel to it. I'm loving it. Let's not say any more about it. So last week we were looking at Mayor of Avbruck. This week we do have the full card. It is a rare. It's not a mythic. 1 in green for 1/1 Human Advisor Werewolf. Other human creatures you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Mayor of Avbruck. So that's at the beginning of each upkeep, not just yours. If no spells were cast last turn, transform. Howlpack Alpha, Screen, 3/3. Other werewolf and wolf creatures you control get +1/+1. So it switches that. Instead of being humans, it goes to werewolf and wolves. At the beginning of your end step, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield. A guy that makes more guys for free is never bad. Beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Howlpack Alpha. Very interesting if we're going to be wanting to transform our guys back and forth like crazy. I get the feeling we are going to want to transform him back and forth so we can get the different benefits for the guys that we're playing, or maybe the combat strategy didn't work quite like we wanted to. I'm very interested to see how this is going to turn out. But a 3/3 for 2, pretty much early game, not a bad thing. Let's put it that way. There is a lot to say about Garruk Relentless and Garruk the Veil Cursed. So let's summarize real quick. He's 3 and a green for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. He is mythic. When Garruk Relentless has 2 or fewer loyalty counters on him, transform him. 0 to have Garruk Relentless deal 3 damage to target creature. That creature deals damage equal to its power to him. And 0 to put a 2/2 Green Wolf creature token onto the battlefield. I definitely think the second ability is awesome. Gets you a 2/2 right away, and it gets you Garruk ready to start being protected from the nastier threats your opponent's going to have, which are probably in standard and block going to be zombies or some sort of puny human. And then the transform side is a green-black Planeswalker, as indicated by the colored dot next to the word Planeswalker. It's split in half for green and black. +1 to put a 1/1 Black Wolf creature token with Death Touch onto the battlefield. I definitely think having a 1/1 Death Toucher is better than having a 2/2, so I'm okay with that. -1 counter to have sacrifice a creature. If you do, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Anytime you can tutor up a creature, especially in a condensed environment like standard or block, it's going to be a very powerful effect most of the time. So I'm definitely thinking that ability right there for 3 and a green is good. -3 to have creatures you control gain trample and get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Running black and green, you're probably going to have creatures dying every so often. I'm not thinking your creatures are getting +3/+3 in trample. I'm thinking +4/+4 or +5/5. It's going to get out of hand very quickly. An overrun itself usually wins the game. So anything higher than that, I think is definitely going to be possible. And you're only talking a -3 loyalty. I'm definitely thinking that you can keep this guy around for quite a while. So I think it's good. I'm not going to get into depth on whether or not he's going to be good in standard or block. I'm just going to say I think he is. I'm not going to get in depth with it. I think everyone's got a valid opinion on where this guy is going, and that's just mine. Liliana of the Veil. We have our first new Liliana ever, and I'm not going to say she's beastie. She's definitely probably going to be something to be reckoned with, though. The 1 black casting cost for 3 loyalty is definitely worth looking at. We're talking Jace Ballerin casting cost here. The +1 is each player discards a card. I don't think we're going to have madness in this set. I don't think we're going to have any kind of good, when you discard, get effect cards. So I definitely think the +1 is going to hurt you more often than not. But if you need creature cards in your graveyard, or you have flashback spells that you're just going to cast later instead of earlier, then it's not going to hurt. So depending on how the standard environment shapes up graveyard based, if we have good graveyard based decks, then she's probably going to be good. If it's not, then she's probably going to suck. So the first ability I'm not too psyched about. The second ability of -2 target player sacrifices a creature is awesome. Definitely worth getting just for that, because if you get 2 creatures out of it, you're talking 3 mana for 2 creatures, and you haven't lost life because of it. All you've had to do is wait a few turns, and that's usually what you do anyways when you're getting 2-for-1s on, well, planeswalkers, I guess. And then -6 ability is separate all permanents target player controls into 2 piles. That player sacrifices all permanents in the pile of his or her choice. So we're looking at a fact or fiction effect for permanents on a table for your opponent. Very interesting. All you have to do is activate it 3 times after you get it onto the field, and you can totally dominate the board. 4 times if you want to have her stick around. Definitely interesting on where this standard environment is headed with Liliana in it. I'm just happy that we have a new Liliana that doesn't cost 5 mana. Let's just put it that way. So I'm more psyched about Garruk, but I'm glad to see a new Liliana. For our mana base for the set, we have the enemy colored tap lands of comes into play tapped unless you control either or. So we have Clifftop Retreat comes into play tapped unless you control mountain or plains. Taps for red and white. we have the full cycle of 5 coming out, plus Ghost Quarter so far. Kind of eager to see if we get any other lands. These are a long time coming. They definitely have names that aren't location specific, so we probably will be seeing them reprinted in a core set, maybe even relatively soon, like in 2 years. So we'll see how it plays around, but there's some of the cool lands we got for the set. Now we're going to look a little bit at the flavor of the world. The symbols here represent the 4 parts of the world: city, plane, whatever, that are occupied in part or whole by humans, vampires, werewolves, mad scientists, or a mix of all the above. Not too excited to see a more faction-based or even guild-based set. I'm kind of tired of seeing all these sets coming out where this part of the world is for zombies and this part's for elves and this part's for little people. Now, we could just do it for regular world, and we don't need all these different hierarchies all the time. Why can't we just have like a Dominaria type world and just have everyone be happy? Why can't we all just be happy with a world full of happiness? But there's the symbols for all the different parts right there. To summarize quite poorly the storyline thus far for Innistrad, the world is populated by werewolves and vampires and mad scientists and zombies and cadavers that are crazy. And during all this madness, we have the moon being the great source of power for stopping the evil, and the evil getting a great sense of power from the moon come nightfall. We have the church here, and they are like super powerful. They have this angel that protects them. Just putting her insignia on your clothing, your weapons, whatever, instantly wards off evil because they can feel the power of the angel just through the symbol. It's an incredibly powerful church. Everyone goes there for protection. If you're not part of the church, then you're probably a part of zombies, werewolves, werewolves, or vampires. It's an incredibly powerful force in the world, and incredibly, right as we're visiting this plane, the angel has disappeared. These symbols no longer hold power, and nobody knows what's going on with the angel, why she isn't there anymore, why the symbols aren't holding power, and the high priests aren't saying what's up. So is she dead? Is she imprisoned? Did she leave? What's going on? We don't know. That's a quick summary for our church here. If we have angels, then we definitely have demons. Demons coming back to Innistrad with the not so present angel around anymore to protect it. So while all the zombies and werewolves and vampires are crawling back out and the evildoers are coming back out, the demons are saying, hey, we can come back too. So they're coming back as well. The demon worshippers that were hiding and doing all their stuff in secret are now being more recognized in the cards. So we have these demon worshippers coming out of their woodwork. I mean, they're hidden everywhere in the world, from the church to trade centers to every nook and cranny. And they're finally popping their heads back out now that the angel is gone. So not only do we have all these little monsters coming in to take away all of human civilization, but now we have demons coming up to just totally wreak havoc. Not so interested to see where the storyline takes us with the demons, because I don't think they'll probably do too much with it. But if they definitely have this giant demon lord come out like Lord of the Pit towards the end of the block, then I'll be happy about it. I love a yin-yang type storyline, and that's definitely where this could lead, but I doubt it. That's going to do it for this week's show. Hopefully when you guys see previews starting up again on Monday morning, we'll have even cooler cards. I think that by the time this video goes up, we'll have an even cooler card that I should have previewed, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's the way it usually goes during spoiler season. I have no idea why we have so few spoilers this time around. I think Wizards is trying to keep a tight lid on things that are definitely, to them, world-shattering. And they like to see us squirm and hypothesize about what's going on, like with the transforming cards. So if they have anything else in the works that's as surprising as that, they'll probably keep a tight lid on it for quite a while. That and spoilers are good, but they don't want to spoil too far ahead of time. They do want to go with other packagings that they have coming out, like Duels of the Planeswalkers or a Premium Deck Series or some such. So why we have so few spoilers this time around, it's a A couple of different reasons, but none of them equal to the reason we want, which is the only reason we want to hear is we have so few spoilers because Wizards doesn't want us to know because they're big, bad Wizards of the Coast. The truth is, you know, it's a business and they got profit to make and timing is everything. So next week we'll have more spoilers to go over. I'll go over maybe some of the more common and uncommon cards I thought were worth mentioning. So until then, you guys have a great week. I'm out.